We're live today at the fire table. What's up, my friend?
Hello, Neander. Glad to be here, buddy.
Brent Ritchie, man. You're a fellow friend of mine for about, 5 years now, plus or minus?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. We met and
A lot of great years.
A lot of great years for sure. But the final year, we actually had this, we have done some trips together.
Yep.
We've done some meetings together. We get to know each other, man, which was very glad to meet you, my friend.
Likewise, man. Likewise.
Thanks for being here and our fire table. This is what the stuff heats up.
Yes, sir. The fire feels hot.
Let's go. So let's start by your beginnings, man. Share a little bit where you're from, where you go to school, and so you can get stuff all the way to the transition to today, which is your kicking ass multifamily.
There we go.
Awesome.
There we go. Awesome, man. It was a dark and stormy night. I'm just joking. 1980, it would have been 83. Fast forward 9 months. I was born in.
Are you from 1983?
No, 84. But that was the dark and stormy night. But let's get. So 1984, born in a little small town outside of London, Ontario, about 3 hours from Toronto. Although I grew up on a farm, I was never really a country kid. And you're probably surprised that I even grew up on a farm.
No, I was born on a farm too. And I'm actually listening.
All right. There we go, man. Learn a lot of hard work on a farm. You just eat what's in front of you and you do work and you don't have a choice. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for those opportunities. Taught a lot of hard work, right? Just kind of keep at it. Never stop grinding. And so even though I grew up in that small town, grew up in the country, didn't really see any opportunities that I saw myself doing and saw maybe inspiration or aspiration beyond kind of this small town, small kind of just a local drugstore and food market and liquor store and farming. Yeah. So beyond that, it was almost, okay, what do I want to do with my life? And so I always had this bigger vision, this bigger ideology of doing something more grand, right? And so that ultimately led me into engineering, into bridges, doing some projects.
But back in the farm, were you like in, engineering stuff at the farm, or
I would always be building stuff. Random,
because usually engineers come from early ages. They start taking stuff apart, toys and stuff. So that's
got myself electrocuted twice. Once was just like trying to build stuff, and I was young. I don't even know how young I was, but I saw this light hanging from the ceiling, and it had a really cool chain on it. And so I was like, I could use that for something else I was building. And so I cut it. And so, but I had bigger vision of what I want to do with my life. Yeah. And so that's really what led me into engineering. Engineering was great, did some really cool projects globally. But really it was still had the entrepreneurial gene. So as much as it was cool doing these projects and you were...
So what type of engineering did you...
civil structural.
Civil structural.
Civil structural, yeah.
Big stuff.
Big stuff, yeah. Your small projects would be like $100 million, your bridges, your infrastructure, your tunnels, buildings. So that's really what led me to always have some high side hustles, right? So I'm doing this engineering. I kind of had this grandiose idea of doing like a bridge engineer architect, right? So I did a couple master's courses and I was going to do my master's in architecture. And then just kind of realized the nitty-gritty engineering side just crushed a little bit of my soul every day. And so I love people. I love working with people. But when you're doing raw engineering, you're not. You're working a lot by yourself. So fast forward, had a couple side hustles, a couple businesses while I'm doing this. And then it was like a couple businesses, and taking a business from an idea to a customer is a lot, right?
100%.
There's a lot of a journey. It's like getting your airplane off the tarmac. It's so much energy and momentum to get off the tarmac. Once you're off the tarmac, so much easier. So,
right. But to say it also, I'd say to that, when the airplane, it's about to take off, they consume the majority of our energy to take off.
Yeah.
And that's what the most accidents happen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
In our airspace, there's majority of the accidents was the plane is about to take off.
Wow.
because they're consuming majority of the energy. It's everything. When something
Yeah.
goes bad is usually where it goes bad right there and
Okay.
then.
There we go.
So for business related too, it's difficult, man. Even
Yeah.
though and you feel like you take off,
Yeah.
but gotta put those engines.
Oh man, yeah. So versus the other side, which is almost the franchise model, right? Something a little bit more tried, true, proven. Hey, I want to get in, and I want to be able to see a system that you can do and scale. And so it was really found the multifamily journey and found the multifamily process and saw the scalability, right? I'm handy, but not that handy. And so to do fix and flips, right? To do anything that's construction
But
related.
how'd you get there? Did you heard of it? Did you people usually tell me, Neander, I found this book and whatever. How'd you feel about the real estate? Did you hear somewhere, or how'd you get there?
So Little Purple Book, right? Rich Dad Poor Dad,
you read
right?
the,
It gets a
you
lot
read the
of
Purple
us.
Book.
Yeah,
Yes,
back
yes.
1920s, something like that. I first read that. And that kind of plagued me for, okay, I got to stop trading time for money, right?
Yeah.
Hourly wage, and I got to start creating something. So that's what really kind of put the
Ignite a little bit. in
gasoline
something.
on the
Yeah.
fire. So that's really kind of got me going, thinking in that direction. And then there was a couple of these businesses where to get it off the tarmac, to get the plane off the tarmac, so much energy and effort, where it was like, okay, let me try to find something a little bit more scalable. And so that's where I looked at franchises. I looked at some other avenues, other businesses, and the fix and flips, and you're trying to replace your income. And it was like, okay, to do that in single family, you had to buy a fair amount of homes to replace that income. So it was like multifamily was almost that scale, right? Now, how many units, right? So 1 building, 2 buildings, how many units? And now it's just basically amplifying your scale.
100%. So you did single family. You did a few.
No, I was looking into that. I had my own in end of high school, early university, worked doing with a couple slumlords, landlords, doing some student housing and stuff like that. But I never owned it. I just did the renos and did the work.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool, man. And then you went right into the first investment property was a multifamily.
Yes. Yeah. First one was a 120 unit property in Glendale, Arizona, back 2018. At that time, you don't know what's around the corner. We never know, right? When the time we record this, we got the election coming up. We don't know what things are going to look like, right? The fundamentals are so strong.
100%.
And we love that fundamentals, but it's almost, you're looking into the future, right? You're buying now, kind of seeing where things can go and seeing the possibility. So
it's bad that, right now it's a lot of uncertainty, right? Interest rates rise and then elections coming. I hear a lot from our investors today at the time of this recording is like, I want to wait until the election to see where I'm going to park my money.
Yeah.
However, I keep saying for everybody is like, this is the time now that you be buying.
Mm-hmm.
It's the time to be investing because right now people are needing to sell. People are going to sell and people are selling. Sorry, man.
Yep. No, that's a spot on, man. Because it's like when people start to pull back and people start to not be unsure, right? It kind of creates that opportunity, creates that gap where you're like, okay, well, I'm ready to go. And if you have fewer people at the table, you get a better price.
Right. And dude, what have you learned for this year? So you said you bought your first one, 2018, and now we're 2024.
Yeah.
What's the big lesson learned that you learned?
Oh my gosh, man, that's a whole novel. Yeah. That's has been a lot. Some of the big lesson learns.
But something practical, something is this happened to me, and now I learn. Now I do X, Y, and Z because I know every time we talk, man, you have a lot of experience, and you get a lot of experience over so many things, like with debt and all this stuff. So just share one or two.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so location, right? We all hear that. We all hear location.
We don't joke around when we say that terminology.
Yes,
right?
yeah. So your location, your desirable location, that's really where we want to do business, is where people are moving to. They want to live, right? That's the real estate that appreciates the most. And so that really helps you making sure that your tenants can afford the renovations you're wanting to do, right? That's a big part. Aligning the right debt with your model. So if your model is a huge value add, but you just put on 10-year debt, and it's yield maintenance or defeasance, so it doesn't have a step down option, now you're potentially stuck with a huge prepayment penalty, right? And at the time where we record this, interest rates are still pretty high. Treasury dropped a little bit, but if that Treasury drops more like it did, so we bought that first deal, 2018. We locked in. We thought amazing. We got 4.94%, which was amazing at that time. And then the Treasuries dropped significantly. Our prepayment penalty on the loan grew to over a third of the loan. So it was a $9.5 million loan. Prepayment penalty was over $3.6 million. So that's a lot, right? So you're not selling, or if you're selling, it's really got to overcome that hurdle. And a lot of us paid the piper back then. Thankfully, when we went to sell, the Treasuries jumped back up, and so we were able to get out kind of pretty well. So, but yeah, lining up the right debt for your model. And then the second big part is location, right?
Yeah.
Know who you're serving, know who your clients are, right? Who's the demographic that you're serving in the area, and make sure you're well aligned for that.
Yeah, that's why, a lot of people take it for granted, because even the staff today, our staff in the properties today was like, hey, we need to be doing our market survey. Oh, but already called. No, you need to really take that serious. It's not by just even you looking at CoStar and anything. By driving sometimes to your neighbor properties over there, which is your comps, it teaches you a lot.
Oh, man.
What I'm saying? Like, it's because you do a phone call. I know I receive phone calls. We receive phone calls from other properties, and they just try to check mark what the hell it is. But you really need to go there. You need to be measuring, for example, what is the type of customer service I'm receiving? Number one, is the office clean? Is the personnel presentable? Where's your units? When you have remodel units, how do they look like? What do they have? What's your amenities? You need to know this. You need to study your competitors. I don't say you shouldn't be caught up on your competitors, but you should know who they are and what they are. Because, for example, I have one property, Luna Vista. You're familiar with the property. Like, it has probably 6 or 7 properties on that same street, and properties is one next to each other. They all comps. They all the same vintage. So why does it make a tenant, they're looking for apartment, which one he's going to choose, right?
Yeah. And how does it look? What's that curb appeal like?
Yeah, it's not even the curb appeal, but like if they step inside of the leasing office, it needs to start working as a funnel.
Yeah.
Just like if you go to a website and those ads that keep following you and keeps like, hey, but buy this and that, and then you end up buying something. It needs to be the same.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's going to have prices. I was going to be the number one, because people know pretty much, they kind of know their budget. But if you have a good customer service man and a good community manager that can come in as a, hey, I'm going to be here for you. This is our community. And I believe in that. It's a lot of part of that location component that you talked about.
Yeah. Your 3 Ps, right? Your product, how does it look, feel? What's the whole experience like for people? The people, who are the people? Are they attentive? Are they responsive? Are they professional? You mentioned that. And pricing. How do you price? How are you competitive in the market? And so, knowing your competitors is huge, right? And making sure you position yourself accordingly.
100%. And Brent, I want to talk a little bit about the myth. A lot of people from Canada to invest in the United States. We have some investors, like, huge amount of confusion for this process. And I know there's a huge appetite there. People that have money. I speak there. I don't know much about the Canadian market, but I know the Brazilian market.
Yeah.
I'm from Brazil, and they want to invest in the United States. But talk a little bit about the Canadians investing in the United States.
I love it, man. I love it. So, fellow Canadian, I don't know if we mentioned the farm, growing up on a farm. Yeah, outside of Toronto, that's right. So, for all you people that don't know your Canadian geography well, it's about 4 hours north of Detroit, 2.5 hours from Buffalo. So, there's a lot of Canadians, because there's 36 million people in Canada. There's not a lot of real estate in Canada for, if you're looking at kind of apartment buildings, everything else, right? We got 360 million people in the States, something like that, 320. Depends how they count.
Yeah.
So it's almost this, there's a lot of Canadians already that own in the States. And so you look at Florida, you look at Phoenix, you look at Texas. There's a lot of Canadian entities that own in the States. Canadian Teachers Pension Fund and some others. So it's already been done, but a lot of people don't know that step, that path. How do I do it, right? And usually it's just going to be there's one entity, maybe between you and buying. And so it's just really kind of, okay, one entity, then there's some things you got to take care of it with taxes. But, couple forms, usually one entity. And so it's not a challenging process, but it does have the hangups. And, I probably went through myself a year and a half, 2 years, just trying to find who really knows what they're talking about in that. There's a lot of people that say, kind of want to sell their services, but who knows how to navigate those roads well, and who knows how to do that. And so that's really where we've been, helping a lot of people go through that.
Which that is one component of it, obviously, to find the ways to do it legally and the best way. But when it gets now to here, that you need to now talk about how to find the best deal, how to underwrite a deal, how to vet a deal, how to do sponsors, and talk a little bit about that as well to complement that component.
Oh, man. Now more than ever in this last 2 years, we've seen it. Right? This is not a...
We lived it.
Oh, we've lived it. We're still living, man. Still alive. So it's a time and place where you need to operate really well. And this is not a hands-off business. And this isn't something you just set it and forget it, right? Turn it on, move on, and keep going. This is something that you got to be very actively involved to make sure that it's going according to plan, and you're making adjustments and making sure that you are keeping up with everything, and for those people that are from Brazil, from Canada, from other places, you got to have eyes on the product, right? You got to have eyes, somebody local that's able to really see, okay, here's what I'm hearing. Is this how it's actually looking, right? And so to get an experienced sponsor that knows what they're doing, that knows how to navigate those roads. This isn't a couple 100,000 you're talking. Yeah. This is
a million.
Millions that you're talking about. So to really be able to carefully navigate those roads, your scalability is huge, and your chance for massive wins is huge, but your chance for massive risk is also really bad, right? And so choosing the right debt, we've bridged debt that has been problematic in the past, this interest rate environment that we're experiencing, but making sure that you're looking at the right operator, right? How do people do, and look at the performance, and look at kind of how do they do with occupancy and collections and everything else. And so, yeah.
That's good insights. Does this business model work in Canada?
Yeah.
Multifamily?
Yeah, for sure. Now, I've never
full I'm talking about evictions and landlord friendly, all that stuff. Or yes or no?
No.
You don't need to give details.
No,
it doesn't work.
No.
Because in Brazil, it wouldn't work either.
Oh, really?
No, you would not.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about just for the fact that if you're already a sophisticated investor, and if you know the terminology, sophisticated investor now, but terminology landlord friendly or not, states, I've just split it with that. Whole Brazil is not a landlord friendly country.
Right. Canada would be the same way, where it's just, you often hear people stuck with tenants that aren't paying, that are damaging your property 12 plus months. And you are somehow responsible for them not paying their bills. And so it's all backwards. And it's this ideology that is pushing a lot of Canadians to want to take their money out of Canada and invest in the States.
Yeah. I mean, let's not get into that subject, because I know it's polemical, and we had some hate comments sometimes, like, oh, but you guys are just buying and increasing rents and making whatever. No, that's not true at all. Like, my approach is that, and this is what I say to everybody that works in my organization, is like, we first invest in the community. Mm-hmm. The community takes care of the property takes care of the investors. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if you break that cycle and you're like, man, there's not such a free living, unfortunately. You know what I'm saying? If there is, the government should take care of that. But for us, we are a for-profit company, but we are implementing new sets of community for that, like living, for example. We give them better living opportunities, like better.
And you're making a beautiful space, right? You can imagine something If it's 1980s and it was never renovated and it looks terrible,
Yeah.
that's going to attract a different tenant demographic and different people. Then, hey, you want to fix it up and you want to make it a beautiful space, beautiful neighborhood, and you're improving the overall.
And I can't tell you how many times there's tenants that lived in that property for a long time, even prior that we buying it. And then when they looked at the new model and it's like, oh my God, that's amazing. They upgraded it from their own
Yep.
apartment to the renovated one because they really liked the product.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, they didn't want to move because they love the location. When it comes to location, they don't want to move. They love the location, but they wanted a newer product. They're okay with that.
Yeah.
So that's a perfect proven right
And
there.
haters going to hate, man.
Hey, haters gonna hate.
Haters gonna hate.
Always, man.
Haters gonna
So,
hate.
what is your appetite right now, Brent, for last quarter of 2024 and upcoming 2025? What's your appetite?
We're hungry. We're hungry. We're looking to buy. I think it's a great time. You know, like you said, landlord friendly, business friendly locations. That's where we're focused. You know, it's this weird philosophy of people pay for the place they're staying in. You know, and yeah, so we're actively looking to buy. You know, and love to definitely explore good locations. You know, or you got a poor property in a good location. Those are ones specifically we want to focus on and improve. So
talk a little bit about that experience and how can you help the listeners that are looking for, maybe they live in Canada, they have somebody, they don't have any education, they need somebody to have that consulting that you can point them to the right direction.
Yeah, for sure. It's so important, right? Just like massive opportunity to have big gains, right? And make a lot of money in the business. On the flip side, the risk is also equally dangerous. And so you really need somebody that knows what they're doing, right? Has been through this before, knows steps A all the way to Z, you know? And so you really want somebody that can help guide you through that, whoever that is, right? If that's myself, if that's, you know, Neander, you know, his team or whoever, right? That's something that you really want somebody that can help you through that whole steps, right? You're interested. Hey, I'd love to get into this space. It sounds really interesting, but if you've never been through, you need somebody that can guide you through every step of the way. And so that's where we can get involved, where we can have a conversation and see if it's the right fit. And would love to help. It's definitely a great industry. I think this time and space, more than ever, right now, is amazing time to buy. So we've seen the 20, 30% discounts today. And so we know what it's been. We've seen the golden years. And so to get through this time and to see kind of where the opportunity is to make a lot of money, I think it's truly the opportunity of a generation right now to get in.
And you need the right team to do so.
You need the
it's
right
a lot
team.
better when you have a mentor, somebody that knows the steps, being there, have done that. You know, we had mentors when we started this industry, and now we offer that to other people. And I think that's a great asset to have somebody in your team, because you know, I'm sure that you have CPAs, lawyers, and all that people that come and support you behind, because you're gonna need all that. It's the same thing when somebody invested with me. It's not just about the investment itself. Investment is great. You invest in real estate, but all of my investors, I help you to point out to the CPA I use and my investors use, so if you can maximize your taxes, you can maximize your gains, you can strategize all this. What about if you go full cycle? Now we get this big check. What do you do next? You know, all those things that comes with the whole package, man.
Yeah, there's a lot you can learn, right? And there's no need to go through all the pain, right? We've gone through a lot of growing pains, and so there's no need. You can help skip a lot of those steps, right? Avoid a lot of the damage, avoid a lot of the risk, and really, you know, partake in some great wins. And so having somebody that will help you through that, I wouldn't have even got into this space if I was just kind of like, oh, let me just try, right? This isn't something you just try. This is something you really need somebody. So many new processes, and even
you don't try,
second,
you do
third,
it.
Fourth, yeah, that's it. But you want somebody that knows the entire process, knows the players in the industry, can guide you through. So.
100%. Talk to me a little bit about books you read.
Oh man, books. We love learning, love reading. You know, Dan Sullivan was just doing that 80% approach, going through that one right now. Funny enough, Who Moved My Cheese?
Really?
I just powered through that yesterday. Reading Dan Martell's Buy Back Your Time, kind of implementing a bunch of those things. Love Tony Robbins books, and so yeah. Probably my two favorite, if I had to narrow down two of my favorite of the last year, and I think we've read both these, Gap in the Gain, and then thinking Gap in the Gain and Who Not How. Two very pivotal books that I think everybody should listen and read.
I know. It's like I hear this, like Rich Dad Poor Dad. I think is the fundamental for everybody. It's young. You know, that was very popular, I think, that book more than nowadays on probably 90s, 2000s, right? 2000s, I'll say. But now we have a lot of content online. There's a lot of people that people follow and listen, podcasts, whatnot. But like with the Real Grind Show, man, a lot of people have freaking read this book.
Oh, yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Everybody sits in the chair, Ito and I. And we had a backpack program that we donated over 200 backpacks for our communities. And I bought 10 Rich Dad Poor Dads and I put it inside a backpack. But I talked to the managers, find out a few folks that you think it's more of on a high school age that looks a little, that care for the school and is more academical. Point it out to me and I'm going to give those books. And we gave it away, man. I don't know if those books is going to do it for those people. I hope it gives something that they read, or maybe their dad would read it. But it's funny because as I was giving the book to one of them, they were with their parents. And I saw this teenage kid. And then I asked the parents, can I give this book to your kid? And he said, yes. But then he has the word Rich Dad, Poor Dad inside of me. I was like, shit, is he going to think that? You know what I mean? Because the title, right? It's like, oh, you call him your poor dad or something? I was like, oh, crap. But I just gave it. I was like, all right, God do his work.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's amazing. And that's a really fun part of this industry too. You know, we get the ability to transform the places and the spaces where people are doing life, right? People are living, dying, getting married. There's divorces. There's so many life events, and we get to improve these communities and make it safe. You know, so that's a lot of the fun that we get to have. Do these backpack programs, right? Things at Christmas time, and
so I have cameras in some of my properties, and I was looking at the other day because I have changed phones and I'm putting my backs back up. And I logged in at around 8:30 at night. There's like a little soccer field. Dude, families. I posted that on my LinkedIn.
Nice.
Families playing, like gathering, people sitting down in a chair, kids playing soccer on a swing at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, dude. That was beautiful to see. You know what I'm saying? Are we responsible for all this?
Yeah, exactly. Making communities, making strong communities, you know, and that's a lot of our response to make them safe, beautiful places in the first place.
100%. So. What is your core values, man?
Integrity, you know, integrity, honesty. We actually went through our core values statement. One of our mutual friends recommended a book. And so we were like, okay, you know, to do everything with excellence, right? Be a person of integrity. Make sure we do right, even when people aren't watching. And just treat people with respect. You know, that's what we love. So I believe that all kind of comes around, right? We do those things. We treat others with respect. Everyone has dignity, and whether it's the person sweeping the sidewalk, or the people in the office, or the tenants, and so just see people as humans, and you know everyone was created for a purpose. So
that's awesome, man. Do right when nobody's watching, even when nobody's watching. That's cool. I like that.
So
my dad taught me about how to make not to be half-assed stuff, even nobody's watching. Like it's a habit. And it's a habit too. When you start doing crooked stuff, man, you do a little thing here and there, and then it becomes a habit. Right. And when you have that principle stuff, you know, nobody's watching, nobody's gonna know. You're going to know. Right. And when the moment that you said this is not okay, this is when your integrity start building. You know, we're human beings. We're not perfect, but you build that muscle to not bend to any you know?
That's it, man. That's it. And be strong in that, right? And there will be times and you'll be tested and, but if you can be faithful in little things, right, then I believe you'll be faithful in bigger things. So,
Okay, so give me a advice for somebody that's listening right now. And it's like they're just listening. They wanted to get into apartment investing or building, future wealth and something. They're just like you, Brent, are working an engineer, had a beautiful career, but wanted to do more. What advice do you can give?
there's so many people, man. I remember going downtown Toronto and you'd be meeting people that are just like giving their soul, right? And they're just so unhappy and they're just working the cubicle job, or you're commuting back and forth every day and they're just doing something they don't like. But sometimes it's just that step in the right direction, right? It's that call to action. Don't put it off till tomorrow. Do it today, right? Reach out, connect. And so don't just think, okay, I'm going to do it later, right? To make sure, take that first step. And sometimes take that first step, put yourself in the right room, surround yourself with those right people, and that's going to help you, tremendously.
That's great.
Yeah. So.
And how can people get in touch with you?
They can't. I'm just joking. No, you can get a hold of me, Brent at EnRitchInvestments.com, ENRITCH investments.com. That's our website as well, EnRitchInvestments.com. So you can go log on, see a little bit more about us, what we do. But we love what we do and love transforming both our communities that we serve and the investors that we serve as well. And so, yeah, that'd be the best way.
100%.
Awesome, man.
Do you have any questions?
How did you get so good looking?
I just lost my hair. That's why.
I'm working on it.
Yeah.
My brother.
Let's go. Woo!